Hello, it's a lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo to present the news. Our headlines tonight: New Apostolic Church accident survivors seek government help. Government urged to declare proceeds from non-payment of President Hichilema's salary. A policy think tank calls for the setting up of the Minerals Commission. In international news, over 210,000 displaced by flooding in central Somalia. And in sports news, Trident FC and KONKOLA Blades secure promotion to the Super League.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rainglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello again, the news in detail. Pedestrians along Kafue Road in Lusaka have called on the Zambia police to introduce police patrols along the Mississippi footbridge, especially at night, to reduce attacks by street kids whom they say hide on the same bridge and pounce on unsuspecting pedestrians. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the regular users of the road, Maxwell Chewe, says this has resulted in many people shunning away from using the bridge and instead opting to directly cross the road, hence endangering their lives. Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says the police service is currently working towards increasing security on the bridge as part of its raid on community gangs locally referred to as junkies. More in this report.
Security concerns in Zambia have long been existing, with these concerns being more pronounced in the country's capital city, Lusaka, and mainly attributed to community gangs, locally referred to as junkies. These fears have also resulted in many flyover bridges being almost abandoned, among them the Mississippi flyover bridge along Kafue Road, due to reports of attacks from street kids and community gangs, especially during the night. A check by Camnet News Tuesday afternoon found that the Mississippi flyover bridge is slowly turning into a dumping site, with only a handful of people using the bridge even during daytime due to the said fears, while most prefer to cross the road directly. Those spoken to by Camnet News say they will only agree to start using the bridge if there is police presence, especially at night time.
So batwafurisheko tulelomba kuli ba polisi batenanikane batwafurisheko kuli ba kuma janki angachikireko especially ka police oversight section so that I think areko safe.
Sometimes wakujompola loko phone tese mukatoka kuma 05 wenda loko konchito ina wanjompola po phone kuma 05 bima janki so nasoma wakonkia kai ni mambili.
Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale recently indicated that the Zambia Police is working towards making the bridge safe.
So far, Chawama and Joneng and other surrounding areas, so far so good, but most of the negative reports are coming from Mrs. compound. Around the footbridge there, that's where a lot of people are being attacked. So we expect good news very soon, you'll hear. We are going to issue a statement. When we go for work, we mean that.
Mr. Mwale says this is part of an ongoing cleanup exercise by the Zambia Police in the country's capital city. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development has appealed to the government to expedite the process of setting up the Minerals Commission. CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says the Minerals Commission will be critical in supporting the government of the day in making strategic decisions pertaining to the extractive industry. Speaking with Camnet News, Mr. Mwaipopo says the Commission would be facilitating the process of undertaking mining exploration to determine the reserve the country is sitting on. More in this report.
Mining has been the major driver of the Zambian economy, contributing about 12% towards gross domestic product, GDP, and generating most of foreign earnings through foreign direct investments, as well as a considerable amount of government revenue through royalties and value-added tax, VAT. President Hakainde Hichilema's administration seeks to increase copper outputs from the current 800,000 metric tons to 3 million metric tons in a decade. However, that entails producing more by existing mining companies and establishment of new mining corporations. However, delays to unlock KONKOLA copper mines, KCM, and recapitalize Mopani copper mines to be able to run at optimum level is a drawback to that objective. Government critics have been questioning the United Party for National Development UPND government's approach to mining development of focusing on the exploitation of raw minerals without emphasis on value addition to maximize earnings from the sector. And Center for Trade Policy and Development CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwepopo has urged the government to expedite the process of setting up the Minerals Commission.
Well, from the Center for Trade Policy and Development, we would like to make an appeal to government through the Ministry of Mines to expedite the process of setting up of the Minerals Commission. This would be a critical institution in helping to support the government of the day in ensuring that strategic decisions pertaining to extractives in our country are taken. Number one, we do think that the Minerals Commission can help to expedite the process of investing in exploration, which can help this country have a better understanding in terms of the reserves that we are sitting on pertaining to a number of minerals we have beyond gold, beyond copper.
It adds that the Commission will be instrumental in boosting the gold reserves under the Bank of Zambia.
We do understand that this country equally has strategic minerals that are supposed to feed into the energy transition that is on the horizon. Furthermore, we do expect that the Minerals Commission can help with the process of improving our reserves under the Bank of Zambia. We do understand that a few years ago an initiative was undertaken to start procuring gold from places such as Busangazi, Munilunga, as well as Rufunsa. Efforts of that kind would help to improve the way we manage our economy, and it would also help to improve our reserves as a country.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Media Network on Child Rights and Development Executive Director Henry Kawe has emphasized the importance of child-responsive mitigation measures against climate change. In an exclusive interview, Mr. Kawe says child-centered approaches to adaptation demand that children from climate change-affected areas are consulted during the planning process. Meanwhile, Citizens Environmental and Social Concern Executive Director Conwell Hakapia has called on the government to work in collaboration with other stakeholders in order to put in place measures that will improve the well-being of children in mitigating climate change effects.
Zambia considers the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as a national agenda. With only 7 years remaining, the question remains if the country will be able to attain its SDGs. Sustainable Development Goal number 13 seeks to take urgent action to combat climate and its impact. Zambia has seen it all in terms of droughts and floods leading to hazards in the country. During the 2022-2023 rainy season, several parts of Lusaka experienced flash floods leading to damage of property and devastation of livelihood, and children are the worst affected when it comes to the effect of climate change. This family of Lusaka's John Lane compound was not spared, as children had difficulties going to school.
Pamozi wali 15 na nyumba futi tilipira ni arrange so hapa siniziwa kapena tizachita bwanje ke yazula mazi kulibena kuenda so pana lero sinagone no bora mpaka na maiyo yose.
Media Network on Child Rights and Development Executive Director Henry Kawe says there is a need for the government incorporating partners to prescribe measures to improve the well-being of children by taking into account climate change.
As we respond to the effects of climate change, we take into cognizance, the issue of addressing issues to do with children. There are so many factors that we have to look at. Climate change can actually make children fail to go to school. What kind of interventions are we supposed to put in place in order for them to be able to access the school places? We also need to look at other issues like how can we use, for example, if there's a flood in Choma and there's a radio station there, how do we make sure that we work with the radio station for lessons to be delivered?
I also spoke to Citizens Environmental and Social Concern Executive Director Conwell Hagapia.
Destroyed due to floods or droughts in itself. So children really are at a very big risk with regards to climate change. So it's very important that we see to it that we mitigate climate change for the betterment of our children now and in the future, because most of them, they are in the mornings of their lives, and most people, especially policymakers, are in the afternoons of their lives. So we have to see to it that we mitigate and help children.
Despite the advances observed in the last decades, the global crisis posed by climate change has the potential to undermine all the gains that have been achieved in child survival and development, and to even promote greater dangers for the future. Therefore, through education, projects and actions, children can contribute to every aspect of climate change policy making, mitigation and adaptation. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some hospitalized New Apostolic Church members who are survivors of the recent accident at Kapiringozi area along Chirundu Kafue Road on the 13th of May 2023 have appealed for financial assistance from President Hakainde Hichilema, stating that they are breadwinners in their families. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the survivors, Nyambe Nalukena, who is nursing broken arms and legs at the University Teaching Hospital UTH, says he is a father of 7 who depends on farming for a living, adding that he also lost his wife in the same accident. 24 people, comprising 23 females and 1 male, died in the said accident after a Mitsubishi Rosa bus they were traveling in hit a Freightliner truck, while 4 males and 8 females survived under nursing injuries. More in this report.
The bodies of the 24 New Apostolic Church members who perished in a road accident at Kapiringozi area along Chirundu Kafue Road on Sunday, 13th May 2023, have finally been put to rest in Chonge District at a mass burial that was well attended by church members, family members, and various government officials. According to Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale, the accident occurred after a Mitsubishi Rosa bus they were traveling in hit into a Freightliner truck, leading to the death of 23 females and 1 male, while 8 females and 4 males survived, with the survivors being treated at the University Teaching Hospital UTH in Lusaka. One of the survivors, Nyambena Lukena, a farmer and father of 7, also lost his wife in the said accident and is now nursing broken arms and legs. He now narrates how the accident happened, further calling on President Hakainde Hichilema, as well as other well-wishers, to consider pumping in financial assistance for breadwinners like himself who are bedridden at the moment.
Then driver namba kontra motoka then nalewa motoka almost 8 alas ndipo meshina butana bwacha muchikupa nisona ngendera ngozi yatu motoka inakura yakwa ngena mgoti bana nzawasunga bwanji inenso kwanja yatyoka na mwendo so ile pamendi lili ndile pama mwongozi amena ngewa hii sinzi wa kuji nchanja mejinga ditandise so nipe mpapo wonse ma organization anga kwanise kutitandizila kuli ba president for ma NGOs onse amene nga titandizire.
Another survivor, Maureen Nyangu, who is a mother of 7, is also nursing broken arms and legs, stating that she had plans of building this year, but now feels that those plans may not be actualized.
This year ndipana uti nikachoka huku chambo chana mabricks ni mange kwa nyumba nilipe na nyumba ndio ndizile kwa nyumba nishitaka kwa nyumba kipe manunga ishite.
Meanwhile, Maureen Shanyambo, a mother who survived with a 6-month-old baby, says she also lost her elder sister and grandmother in the accident and has called for prayers.
Sapa nima mbela buno mukabwela unipe mpola ko tuja twina kutweni gani tatumanga twadene kako na ibala ko twina ngo so tabe mukatoka kuteto abwela so chikuru cyo mumabwela nchito bako nionako so tacheza kasaba vimangala vinango na chitachanichi nasekelera zona kuti vantu vamama nikonda sindimuboni tairiri.
UTH Public Relations Officer Natalie Mashikolo also added the word while thanking some new apostolic church members who took food for the survivors.
And I must say that they are making steady progress, and of course we do follow and see what the doctors are saying, since they are the ones who review them. And so they've indicated that they are in a stable condition, though there are a lot of things that they still need for them to completely heal. And also to just mention that even the 6-month-old baby, who's a person of interest, is also getting better. So actually we also want to even just encourage members of the public to just come through and, just see them. There's a lot of things that they really need.
Please, people out there, especially sisters from Lusaka East, these people need us. They really have nothing to show, especially the small baby needs our support. We should come in numbers so that we should bring 1 or 2 things to the patient, please.
Those who are getting better are now being discharged, while those critical have remained hospitalized. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, says the unsustainable debt challenge in Zambia will get worse if the restructuring process is not resolved soon. ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Henry Mpoku says the fact that Zambia is on debt repayment suspension means the debt is accruing interest, and that the longer the restructuring process takes, the more indebted the country will become. Dr. Mpoku says it is more reason that ZIPA has organized a meeting with key stakeholders on the 18th of May 2023 to discuss how the debt process should be dealt with going forward. Meanwhile, economist Kelvin Chisanga has urged the Zambian government to look for alternative means of raising revenue, such as the mining sector, among others. More in this report.
The prolonged debt restructuring process for Zambia has continued to bear negative effects on the Zambian economy, such as low levels of investment, failure by the bondholders to invest in government securities, to failure by the International Monetary Funds to release resources to finance part of the 2023 national budget, to constrained liquidity on the market, which has been contributing to the high exchange rate, among other things. The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, says it is concerned that the process of restructuring Zambia's debt has taken longer than usual, and says the Zambian government needs to come to accommodation on how to deal with the debt burden. ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Eric Mpoko says the fact that Zambia is on a debt repayment suspension means that the debt is accruing interest, and that the longer the restructuring process takes, the more the indebtedness the country will become.
The fact that we are not paid and we are on the debt service suspension initiative under the common framework, this means that we are not servicing our debt. So straight for the private sector debt, the debt is accumulating, so it can grow. So which means that the problems are being kicked down the road, and the fact is that it will get worse if it is not resolved. So it's absolutely necessary that all the creditors, especially the major creditors, make serious moves to have this matter resolved.
ZIPA has since organized a meeting on 18th of May 2023 with key stakeholders that will aim to discuss real issues with regards to Zambia's debt and its way forward.
Economics, macroeconomics, economics is not a preserve of a few people. I think it is a matter of interest to the general public. So what we want to do is to create an opportunity for people to engage and discuss these issues and make their views known. So what we're trying to do with this new program of economic eminent persons forum is to bring people with experience, knowledge, and exposure of these economic issues. So,
meanwhile, economist Kelvin Chisanga has advised the Zambian government to look beyond the debt restructuring process to other alternatives of raising revenue to finance the budget, such as the mining sector, in case the debt restructuring process drags even further.
IMF cannot just be where we can actually grow this economy. There could be other complex of ideas that we can also put on the table. One, it's the issue to do with how are you faring on the sectorial performance. Let's say, for example, mining sector. Can we find some good policy treatment that should be able to trigger the magnet growth that we are anticipating to see from the mining? Because then we are actually in the situation of green transition.
With Zambia aspiring to become a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030, will this aspiration come to reality considering the high debt burden that the country continues to grapple with? Only time will tell. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, New Heritage Party President Chishalaka Teka has urged the United Party for National Development UPND administration to seriously consider seeking local solutions to Zambia's problems. In an interview, Ms. Kateka notes that local solutions to development are more sustainable than seeking aid and investments from international corporations. She says the president needs more interactions with local investors who are able to carry the vision of Zambia to the end without being disturbed by tensions in global politics. The opposition leader was responding to a statement from President Hakainde Hichilema, who was recently in the United Kingdom for the coronation of King Charles III, and expressed confidence that his interactions with various stakeholders while in that country would bring desired change in Zambia.
We know that he has been meeting a number of individuals, and he's banking on the fact that these trips are going to change the Zambian economic landscape, the financial landscape of our country. When you rely on someone else to do something, if they fail to do that, it means that then you have failed. We have constantly been saying as the New Heritage Party that the UPND government, the New Dawn, need to come up with a homegrown solution. Let's begin, even if it's a small something, let's start with that, so that if these other things don't work, at least we are working on something. But what we are seeing is the president who really thinks that salvation will come from somewhere out there, instead of looking at ourselves to come up with solutions for Zambia and Zambians. You can't go to people who are investors. Investors are simply that. They come, they invest, they make their money and take their money out. So we are urging the president and the New Dawn government to come up with a plan that will begin to address the livelihoods of Zambians. Look at our health sector is a mess. The price, the cost of living for Zambians is very high. You can't point to anything that has eased the living standards of Zambians in the last 18 months.
The Community Action Against Corruption has backed calls by some governance activists to have government declare to the public how much money has been realized from the non-payment of the salary of President Hakainde Hichilema from the time the president made his pronouncement. Organization Executive Director Brighton Tembo tells Camnet News that it will be prudent to state how the saved money is being used or has been used. He says it is in the public domain that the president will not be getting his salary. Hence, the application of the saved money should also be made public so that Zambians can appreciate the impact of the gesture by the president.
Yes, as Community Action Against Corruption, we support calls by stakeholders to have government declare how much money has been realized so far from the non-payment of salary to President Hakainde Hichilema, from the time we declared that he will not be getting his salary. You know, Zambians are concerned because previously we saw this happening in 2019 when former President Edgar Lungu declared that he has reduced his salary to half. But up to the time we left power, no one knew how much money was saved from such an undertaking and which people benefited and how that money was used. So this time around, we want that declaration to bring tangible results to the Zambians. So it's prudent for government to declare how much money has been realized so far and what are they intending to use that money for, or have they used that money, then who has benefited from that money. That is very critical and Zambians should understand that, so that such kind of declaration cannot be taken as political statement by stakeholders or Zambians in general.
And in news from the courts, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has heard that opposition politician Chilufya Tayali accused the Army Command of giving military personnel less allowances while pocketing the rest of the money. Two Zambia Army officers have told Magistrate Kelvin Soma that they were persuaded by Mr. Tayali to be disobedient to the command when he posted a video on social media talking about allowances for soldiers and how the command was not giving them a 100% allowance. This is in a case in which Mr. Tayali is accused of attempting to seduce soldiers to rise against the command on the grounds that their salaries were being delayed and that they were supposed to get 100% allowance instead of 50%.
Economic and Equity Party leader Chilufya Tayali made another court appearance Tuesday before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court. The opposition leader appeared for continuation of his trial in relation to a matter he is accused of inciting mutiny. Two state witnesses from the Zambia Army testified this morning how a video posted on Facebook by Mr. Tayali allegedly persuaded them to be disobedient to command. Staff Sergeant Gabriel Tembo testified that in December 2021, a WhatsApp group for soldiers was created and take care of the issues affecting them. During trial this morning, the court also heard how the said WhatsApp group, whose aim was to look at the welfare of soldiers, suddenly changed in terms of conversation, as the focus was now centered at the 100% allowances for military personnel. Discussion in the said WhatsApp group was that they needed to be getting 100% allowance for their foreign mission instead of the 50% that they were getting at the time. Staff Sergeant Tembo says he got concerned and wanted to inquire where the information was coming from, and during his investigations he discovered that it was from a circulated video of Mr. Tayali. The state witness has told magistrate presiding over the case, Kelvin Soma, that the accused in his video had alleged that the 50% allowance was being pocketed. He says after watching a video of Mr. Tayali on Facebook, he was also convinced and needed to get his 100% allowance, further adding that tension arose in the group with other soldiers commenting on the same. During cross-examination, when the defense team posed questions to the witness claimed he was incited by Mr. Tayali to go against command despite the accused being a civilian. The self-proclaimed public lawyer, Mr. Tayali, is facing a charge of inciting mutiny contrary to the laws of Zambia. The state accuses him of attempting to seduce soldiers to rise against command on grounds that their salaries were being delayed and that they were supposed to get 100% allowance instead of 50%. Trial continues in this matter. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
And still in court news, former Lusaka Town Clerk Alex Mwansa has told Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili that the former ruling party had created a branch in the intercity market where they were collecting revenues, and those who failed to pay were disciplined through their unorthodox systems like evictions and instant justice of beatings and floggings. Mr. Mwansa informed the court that prior to the 2021 general elections, Francis Muchemwa, among others, were leading the intercity market in Lusaka. The witness told the court that Lusaka City Council was not in control of the full revenue of the markets and the bus stations. He said the dual system of managing markets and bus stations had one established by the Lusaka City Council, while the other was administered by the PF cadres. This is in a matter in which Mr. Muchemwa, commonly known as Commander 2, is jointly charged with 2 others with 10 charges of money laundering related charges. The trio is facing 10 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime and failure to comply with the provisions of the Income Tax Act. Among the charges, it is alleged that Muchemwa, between January 1, 2020 and August 31, 2021 in Lusaka, dishonestly obtained a pecuniary advantage in the sum of 141,400 kwacha in the form of subsistence allowance from Zesco Limited on the pretext that he undertook official trips when in fact not. The matter has been adjourned to Friday. This is Camnet Television, the main news. We take our first break. Join us for more news after the break.
You know I can take her a break.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. A Zambian businessman has been shot dead by unknown people in central Johannesburg, South Africa. Zambia High Commission to South Africa First Secretary Press and Public Relations Tamara Nyirenda has named the victim as 46-year-old Alfred Sampa, an entrepreneur who was shot dead on Monday, the 15th of May 2023, around 12:30 hours on his way to City Deep Market, where he went to buy his merchandise. The victim is said to have booked a taxi for his errands, but while on the way to the market, the taxi driver noticed that some unknown people were trailing them when the unknown people overtook the taxi, blocked it, and shot Mr. Sampa. She says after the assailants sped off, the taxi driver rushed Mr. Sampa to Southland Hospital in Johannesburg, where he eventually died. The wife of the deceased, Beulah Sampa, confirmed the development to the Zambia High Commission in Pretoria Monday and further stated that the matter had been reported to Moffat View Police Station in South Africa. Meanwhile, Zambia's acting High Commissioner to South Africa, Inonge Mwenya, says the mission is saddened by the death of Mr. Sampa and that it will keenly follow the updates from the investigations being conducted by the South African police. The Ministry of Health has challenged the Health Professionals Council of Zambia, HPCZ, to urgently address the issue of over-enrollment in health institutions across the country. Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo says government is concerned with the overcrowding of health training institutions, which she said compromises the quality of education among health practitioners in various health facilities. Ms. Masebo says the council must work hand in hand with the Higher Education Authority and other stakeholders in curbing the vice. She said this in a speech read on her behalf by Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services George Sinyangwe at the launch of the HPCZ 2022-2026 Strategic Plan. Meanwhile, HPCZ Chief Executive Officer and Registrar Faston Goma has disclosed that the 2022-2026 Strategic Plan will focus on 3 strategic themes and strategic results, which include the health practitioners' proficiency, health facility excellence, and operational excellence.
There are a number of fundamental matters that need to be addressed, including but not limited to over-enrollment in health training institutions, which at times results into overcrowding in the practical placement areas. I therefore implore the Council to work closely with other stakeholders in the training sector, including the Higher Education Authority, to resolve these matters urgently.
The first objective is to enhance regulation of health professionals' conduct. The second strategic objective is to enhance regulation of health facilities and services within those health facilities. The third objective is looking at finances. We will attempt to enhance financial management within HPCZ. Fourth objective is aimed at information dissemination.
Strategic planning is not an easy process. You need to be dedicated. We want to recognize the dedication that was exhibited by management and the leadership, that is the board of the council, in this process.
The Zambia Disability Rights Watch has underscored the need for the revision of laws that govern empowerment programs in the country. Organization Executive Director Wamundila Waliyua says persons with disabilities are excluded from benefiting from empowerment funds. Mr. Waliyua believes the inability to have equal participation in rolling out empowerment packages hampers productivity and important matters that concerns persons with disability. Meanwhile, Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission Public Relations Manager Mijelo Mukata says stakeholders must strive to show interest so as to fully benefit from the empowerment schemes. More in this report.
Zambia is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, CRPD, which aims to promote, protect and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, as well as to promote respect for their inherent dignity. Locally, the Persons with Disabilities Act No. 6 of 2012 focuses on empowering persons with disabilities to be an integral part of mainstream society. In this regard, the Zambia Disability Rights Watch is recommending a review of laws that govern employment schemes in the country, including the Constituency Development Fund Act, among others, in order to attain equal participation.
It's mandatory under the Local Government Act and the guidelines that there should be representation. But we are urging the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, as they push the amendments to the Local Government Act, that 10% of the CDF should be directed towards persons with disabilities. We realize that persons with disabilities have not really benefited on an equal basis with the rest of the other citizens at community level in as far as accessing the CDF.
Mr. Waliuya fears that empowerment packages, such as those under the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission CEEC, are not fully sensitized to the benefits of persons with disabilities.
We need to ensure that persons with disabilities are entrepreneurs as individuals or partners so that they could access the bigger loans. And then we ensure that the CEEC takes deliberate steps to ensure that awareness is delivered to persons with disabilities, even those in the market.
Meanwhile, CEEC Public Relations Manager Mijelo Mugata says the Commission is committed to achieving inclusivity in the provision and implementation of empowerment schemes.
Should be something that is satisfactory, where people do not feel that they're left out,
And we ensure this by going out in the public, conducting sensitization exercises. Some of it is targeted. We will go through, for instance, sector groups like the Zambia Association of Persons Living with Disabilities, to inform them that we do have this empowerment program available. So it would be good if this information is shared to their members, who in turn will be able to apply and increase their chances of receiving the empowerment. As CEC, we cannot force one to participate. Interest has to be generated by somebody who is seeking this empowerment. And once they do come through any of our offices, either here in Lusaka or our provincial offices countrywide, we do have an open door policy where we will talk them through what exactly is required. And
Nelson Zulu, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our second and final break. We have international and sports news after the break. Stay tuned.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
And now in international news, floodwaters in central Somalia left thousands of families displaced in Beledweyne, the city with the highest population density in the region. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reported the Horn of Africa nation to have more than 460,000 people affected, including nearly 219,000 people who have been displaced in early estimates. Rising water levels in Beledweyne forced a number of important facilities to close in the town, including government offices and the town's main hospital. Local resident Hussein Yusuf told the Associated Press that it was the worst flood ever experienced, citing the size of the deluge and subsequent damage to property. Here's news beyond our borders. For more.
Roads and bridges underwater. Flooding in central Somalia has left thousands of families displaced in Beledweyne, the city with the highest population density in the region. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that more than 460,000 people have been affected. It was very difficult for me to walk this morning because of the amount of water. I used to be able to walk through it before, but as you can see now, the level has reached my waistline, and this situation is getting worse as the amount of water increases. And just the other night, it was reported that one of my neighbor's house was submerged by water. Neighborhoods began flooding in April after weeks of downpours forced the river Shabelle to burst its banks. These floods differ greatly from the others in the past. This flood is larger than any flooding in recent memory that has ever occurred in this region. However, given the magnitude of the flood, it must also be remembered that this is the worst flood we have ever experienced. These floods did not result in any fatalities, unlike other floods in the past that have killed people, but they have damaged many properties, including houses. Rising water levels in Beledweyne forced a number of important facilities to close in the town, including government offices and the town's main hospital.
Italy's interior minister praised Tunisia's efforts against irregular migration. The comments by Interior Minister Matteo Piantedosi follow Monday's visit to the North African country. The Italian official met with his Tunisian counterpart and also had a meeting with Tunisian President Kais Saied. The leaders discussed the situation in the Mediterranean, where crossings have intensified since Saied made a fiery speech last February, claiming illegal immigration was a demographic threat to Tunisia. According to the Tunisian Forum for Economic and Social Rights, a migrant support group, more than 200 people have drowned in a series of shipwrecks since the start of the year. Dozens more remain missing off Tunisia's coast after the sinking of multiple boats. In early April, Rome's Interior Ministry said that more than 14,000 migrants had arrived in Italy since the beginning of the year, a number that is significantly higher than in previous years. Tunisia faces high inflation and unemployment, leading some of its citizens to seek a better life abroad. South African taxidermists fear for the future of their trade as the UK bans the import of hunting trophies. The new law, approved by UK lawmakers in March and sponsored by animal activists, aims to help protect endangered species. Taxidermists question this approach.
The illegal wildlife trade has been cast, there's a shadow being cast over them. That everything that we do is illegal and that we are killing off all the animals, and that is so much far from the truth. It is not true. Why will I kill my own market?
According to a 2018 study, trophy hunting contributes more than $340 million a year to South Africa's economy, supporting around 17,000 jobs.
It's going to cost a lot to me because I'm going to not manage to feed my family everything, because for me, I think all of us here working here as the workers, we get to survive from these things.
The new UK law is also seen as the beginning of a change in attitude amongst European countries.
To hunt an animal only to be mounted on your wall, I think it's a little bit questionable and a little bit unethical.
Critics say shooting wild animals for fun is cruel, wasteful, and pushes endangered species closer to extinction.
The ban in the UK is going to be one of the world's largest and most comprehensive ban. I mean, it's covering thousands and thousands of animals. And I think that can very much act as an example to the rest of the Western world and elsewhere where trophy hunting imports are still permitted. And I think, the UK can lead as an example here.
Similar legislation is being considered in countries such as Italy, Belgium, and Spain.
Let's have now some sports news. Now, sports news tonight. Trident FC and KONKOLA Blades have secured promotion to the MTN Super League. They will be joined by two more teams after week 34. Kafue Celtic, Bats and Lusaka Dynamos have been relegated to the provincial leagues. One more team will follow suit after week 34. Meanwhile, in the Super League, with Power Dynamos and FC Muza already qualified for continental football, the relegation fight is far from over, as two teams will join Chambishi and Buildcon after week 34. And still in sports news, AC Milan manager Stefano Pioli believes his side can reach the Champions League final despite trailing Inter Milan 2-0 after the semi-final first leg. The two teams play the second leg on Tuesday at the San Siro, with Inter the designated home team. Goals from Edin Dzeko and Henrik Mkhitaryan gave Inter victory in Wednesday's first leg. Seven-time European champions AC Milan might have Portugal winger Rafael Leao fit after the 23-year-old missed the first leg because of a thigh injury. Inter are third in Serie A, 5 points ahead of fifth-placed AC Milan and trying to reach the final for the first time since they were crowned European champions in 2010. Forward Joaquim Correa, taken off at halftime during the Inter's 4-2 win over Sassuolo on Saturday, might feature. The second leg of the other semi-final takes place on Wednesday with Manchester City hosting Real Madrid after a 1-0 draw last week in Spain. The final will be played in Istanbul, Turkey on the 10th of June. That sporting note brings us to the end of our news tonight. Before we go to the headlines once again. New Apostolic Church accident survivors seek government help. Government urged to declare proceeds from non-payment of President Hichilema's salary. A policy think tank calls for the setting up of the Minerals Commission. In international news, over 210,000 displaced by flooding in central Somalia. And in sports news, Trident FC and KONKOLA Blades secure promotion to the Super League. Our comment verse of the day is coming from Luke 24 verse 49. I'm going to send you what my Father has promised, but stay in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high. Thank you once again for watching Camnet News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.